right, guys. Well, here we are. This is a very weird, spontaneous episode of Friend Fridays. My good friend, Riggy Marz.
Yo, what's Gucci?
And I apologize for the ghetto quality of this particular video. I'm day 4 into moving. I hate moving more than anything in the world. It's seriously like back in the day, like probably I think when I was like 19, 20, I don't know if they still do this, but I remember I used to get parking tickets and I just would never pay them. I'm still to this day, I don't pay parking tickets when I get them. I have like a real issue with paying authority figures, anything. Like whenever I have like restitution, I just don't pay it. It turned out fine. But back in the day, if you had them accumulated, like I'd owe like $2,000 on them. And I'd go to court and I'd tell the judge, I'd be like, sir, on general principle, I refuse to support your authoritarian regime. Say some weird stuff like that to them. You didn't have to do that, though. I could have just been like, can you send me to jail instead? But I'd go on this whole rant tirade about why I shouldn't have to pay the tickets and why I want to go to jail instead. And so back in that time, they'd be like, okay, well, I forget what it was. I think you got $80 a day or $90 a day credit towards your debt. So anytime I'd have parking tickets, I'd just go to jail and take a bunch of dope in my ass. I'd make a bunch of money. It was like way worth it. And then I wouldn't owe the parking tickets. I came up like way on top.
Genius.
I'm self-taught. And now, what a lame joke. If I could start over, I know I would, just based on that one lame joke. But anyway, whatever. Can't hit him every time. Listen, I don't think you can do that anymore. Because I think the new generation, I don't even know if that's legal anymore. I don't even know if that ever was legal. But I guess if you refuse to pay a ticket, is that why they send you? Could you do that in LA County? That was in Santa Barbara County.
That I swear that I've used that option before.
Yeah, because every time you don't. What's the point of what I'm talking about? Hey, let's do a video about parking tickets. That's what I'll name it. The parking ticket video.
Yeah, where did you get there?
The point is I hate moving so much. This is day 4 of just, it's like a nightmare. I wish that I could just go to jail for the last 4 days instead of move and just have everything taken care of. The U-Haul, the going to the dump, paying for all the repairs, having to set up Wi-Fi, having to get cable, having to get a phone line, having to change my address, having to do, I'm grateful that we're upgrading from a guest house, like in a little, what's cool about the place we were renting before is that, it had a pool and a jacuzzi. So it looked way cooler than it was, but we were really living in a pool shed. There was rafts and shit in there. No, there weren't, but there should have been. There probably are if there aren't people occupying it.
It's like sleeping on a bed of noodles.
It's
floaties and shit.
It's probably an illegal structure. I don't know if you remember that time that I blackmailed my landlord, and I think I just told that story on Patreon yesterday. But yeah, I swear these people aren't trying to give me my deposit back, and if that's the case, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to City Hall. I'm going to go get the blueprints for this property. I guarantee you it's an illegal structure. You always get your deposit back when you pull that. It's like, hey, you don't give me my money, I'm reporting you guys for an illegal structure. I'm not trying to get what and all I want is what I have coming to me. And that's my deposit, which is $3,600. And last time I extorted the guy because I was there a month. And just one day, the sink broke, and I called him, and he was all nonchalant. He's like, yeah, what are you guys doing this weekend? We're like, I don't know. Probably going to go to a concert or something. So, cool. Well, you guys have to pack and be gone by Sunday. I was like, huh? He's like, well, we have relatives coming. We just signed a year lease with him. We were like, what do you mean we have to leave because you have relatives coming? That was his way of saying, yeah, you're evicted. But he didn't even do it like that. He's like, oh, yeah, you guys got to go because we have relatives coming. I was like, you have relatives coming for what, 2 or 3 years or something? And that's exactly what it was. To this day, I think the guy it was a jack move. I'm pretty sure I talked about that yesterday. But I'm not used to waking up and having to do that kind of like have that much responsibility all day long, manual labor. It's also 100 degrees in LA right now. It's like the hottest summer isn't this like the hottest summer that it's been in years? I think it is. It feels that way.
It's been pretty brutal.
Maybe I'm just a bitch, but it feels really, really hot out there. Thank God I have good homeboys like Riggy that are down to help me. I've had people help me, and then I paid some straight Takato ass Paisa junkie guys. They're not that cool. But anyway, it's been really hard for me. I'm not joking. I usually wake up around like noon, 1 o'clock, and then I'm on the phone pretty much all day, you know, because I got other projects and stuff that like I try really hard. And all that stuff is tough when you're an addict and you're used to instant gratification, because creative projects, whether it's a film, a book, an album of music, whatever you're doing, you don't get instant gratification from usually. You know, it's like the documentary, working on it for years. It's only going to get finished because Seth Ferrante is stepping up and directing it now. And he's like, hey, if we don't finish by September 16th, every single person that's involved is going to get stabbed. Jim Oles is like in his like late 50s. He's like, hey, let's just do it. I'm like, all right. So it's going to be gone. It's going to be done by September 16th. And I was thinking about that today. Like, it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. 4 years trying to make that project happen. People are like, it's never coming out. It is. You know, it's like 80% done. The last cut I put up was about 80%, but it wasn't structured. Now you're going to see it with the story and with all the additional stuff that people haven't seen yet. I still have not watched the cut. Like, you've seen it.
I've watched the cut. It's fucking amazing.
I haven't, because like, it's difficult when you watch like your childhood, all the promise and everything, and then you just grow up to be a John. I'm a John, is what I'm trying to say. No, it's hard to watch my childhood and all the pain that I put my family through. And I know I joke about butt fucking and everything, but the fact is there's actually butt fucking going on, you know, behind closed doors. And just the fact that I have to watch it. I mean, there's like a 19-minute butt fuck cut. It's just animation, but it gets the point across.
Like squatting in deserted trap house butt fucking.
Hey, so check this out. This new house I got, right? There's something off, guys. Talk about this.
Well, yeah, something's off because you open the front door and the first thing you see is a huge, like, outlined blood stain of a person, like, on the floor. So there's that.
Yeah. Like, he's not joking. I was like, hey, what do you think?
Someone got murked, dude.
We think, because it's really weird. Okay, the house was just bought in June. Now we're buying it in August.
So it got bought in June, someone got murdered in July, and it's being bought in August.
Plus, the backyard is so fucking massive. It's like 1,200 square feet, and it has these structures in the back. I think it's like I don't know. What do you think? 1,200, 1,000, and 1,200. I think it's just an estimate.
No,
yeah.
it's like 3,000.
No, is it that big?
Yeah.
I don't know square footage, but yeah, it's the biggest.
Because the whole property is like 4,300, and that's huge for fucking Hollywood too. You know.
Oh, is that the square footage?
Yeah.
You looked it up.
Yeah.
We were like looking it up because we were trying to figure out if someone got murdered. We're not joking. There's like blood stains when you walk in. It's not like red blood stains, but it's what it would look like after somebody tried to clean it off carpet. It's blood stains.
Or it's a lot of semen.
Or it's a bunch of cum. A bunch of cum just got dumped out of some cum
it's
bucket.
Cum and blood.
Yeah, that's my favorite kind of cum. Shit tastes fucking... I shouldn't say shit like this. Sorry for any family members watching. Do you want to tell them about your music? Can we talk about that? I never like to say things if...
Oh, yeah. Shit, so, you know, I made the biggest decision of my life about 2 weeks ago, and I quit rapping to start a K-pop group.
What's K-pop? That's
Korean pop.
Oh, yeah, that's in right now, huh?
Yeah,
I saw that on
huge, dude.
Yeah, so he's doing K-pop.
So
and-
I'm like, I'll be the lead, and like everyone else in it, like I have my 3 Korean homies, like they're the rest of the band. We all sing.
Do they know they're in a band?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, they're like stoked on it too.
Alright.
I'm of course the lead singer, but so I'm gonna try that for a few years and see where that goes, and depending on if I'm successful or not, I might go back to hip hop.
Are you gonna tell them you're white? Or are you gonna pretend that you, like Korea is where you're from? Because I think that's what a lot of K-pop bands are. Is it's white dudes pretending they're from Korea with flat top.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a state of mind, dude. You know?
It's a lifestyle. It's
it's
a fucking lifestyle.
bro.
It's K-pop. Okay, well.
No, but yeah, I have like some new singles that were just released. I have a music video coming out in 2 weeks called Midnight Blue, produced by Smoke of the legendary group Old Dominion.
Oh, I just thought of something. So,
Yeah, man.
so what he told me we can't say because you would know after, but you can't know now.
Right.
Right. Okay. That's why I said it like that. Yeah, he's doing K-pop.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, I listened to it. It's fantastic. Okay, it's on Spotify, the new single.
Yeah.
What's the song? I like the one that I like the most.
It's called Strange Thing.
Strange Thing.
It's a love story.
It's a really dope song.
It's like way different than my other shit. It's not like the grimy boom bap. It's like me getting like, you know, vulnerable and on a track and like transparent. I'm talking like real human emotion shit. You know what I mean? I go like full simp for about 3 minutes. So it's fire.
Yeah, it is. I cried. It's that kind of song. Actually, though, to be completely honest, I don't support the K-pop thing, but I do like the new single. It's one of those things. I was telling him, it's like the kind of thing where I don't think there's anybody they can't relate to it.
The K-pop?
No, the love song.
Okay.
Unless you're a chomo or something, but. Besides chomos, if you've ever dated anyone, if you are a chick in an apartment with a vibrator and a kitten, you know. Facts. So, one of the new series that I'm gonna do. So, like, I realized that the last 2 months were a nightmare for me. Right? I was going through gnarly stuff. The worst of it is my mom is dying. Like, let's put it this way: the last 4 days that I've been moving, including on my birthday, August 3rd, I called my parents' house, and my mom doesn't have the mental faculty to talk to me. Like, she can't even talk. Like, they said she has like 3 to 4 years initially, and it's a lot less than that. Like, I don't know if she got another year, straight up. And so, like, battling the mental health, the addiction, all of that stuff has been really hard. And then my relationship, we got to the point where Karina was just about to be like, look, you either grow up and act like an adult, join a K-pop band with Riggy, or I'm gone. And I'm not losing her or my kids. Actually, I haven't met my second kid, but that's only in a couple weeks. Guys, August 20th, I'm gonna have a second baby. So, and my mom is dying. So right now it's grind time. Mickey Avalon book is due September 1st. The documentary will be done September 16th. Seth is like, he's like screams at me. And I'm like, dude, we've been friends for like a year.
Would he sing in my band?
Yeah. If he heard that we were talking about him about singing a K-pop band, like, he'd probably stab us. I get that vibe all the time. Like, the other people involved with the film.
Okay, so the stabbing, I love how we're on the topic of stabbing tonight. That would be a fire music video, bro, for the first K-pop single. Seth comes in and, like, stabs one of us to death, you know?
Yeah, violence is super sick.
Dude.
I love violence. Gratuitous violence. I like it. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I used to watch horror movies just so I could beat off to the nudity. But you know, when you have to watch violence to see tits and ass, you start liking the violence too.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, like, I don't even get turned on unless I see violence now.
Yeah, no, same. Like, you know, yeah.
We're
I was gonna say something like too inappropriate for YouTube, but
There's nothing, dude. You should see shit Preston says. It's out of control. All right, so anyway, no, actually, I think that's on Patreon. So my mom being sick and me having a second kid, two things that have put my ambition on full throttle again. And I can honestly say I'm sober. It feels good to be sober. Like, you know, it's just been a really tough time for me. The last like 60 to 90 days have been rough, but I can tell you I'm doing better. And one of the new series that I'm going to do is going to be called Pittsburgh, right? I don't know. I like geographical storylines, and I think other people do too. On Patreon, we have, I don't know when this is going to go up on YouTube. It's going to be a while, right? This will probably be up like a month or two from when we recorded. But it's going on Patreon tonight. The date is what, August 5th? August 6th?
Yeah.
It's like the 5th or the 6th. So just remember that, YouTube. I will put this on YouTube eventually, but I put everything on Patreon way, way, way ahead of time. And so I'm going to start this new series called Pittsburgh. And right before we start recording, because he helped me move, and I'm like, hey, I got to do a video. I got a story video too, but I don't have Wi-Fi at the spot. So I did that while we were there. And then on the way back, I'm like, fuck it, let's do a video together. You know, just because I want to get as much content to you guys as possible. But this news, so we're going to finish Origins, and that collides with Henry again. Henry will probably have 10 more videos. So I'd imagine that Origins and Henry are going to be what all tiers get this month. $10 tier, I'm going to start a new series called Pittsburgh, right? And we're also going to finish Shaky Jake. That's going to be on the $20 tier, and then I'm going to drop it down. Now, the Pittsburgh storyline, where does that come from and what's it about? I'm going to give you some background information about it. And this has to do with Riggy, so he'll be interjecting and stuff. And you feel free to ask me questions as I go. We were having this conversation anyway, so I figured I may as well just record it and tell a bunch of jokes that are probably falling super flat because we're exhausted. We've been doing stuff all day today. Oh, that's weird. Humans. God, everything I've said, I've just like immediately regretted. But anyway, he was asking me about this girl that I was engaged to. Now, you guys know her as Casey, and she's a girl that when I got out of federal prison, I was with her for 2 years. We were engaged. And he was kind of asking me some questions about her, and the Pittsburgh series is going to be about her. So just to remind you a little bit about her, when I got out of prison in 2013, I was sober for a year. I was like maybe like 3 months shy. First girlfriend I got was the girl that was writing me when I was in there. She was like 19, which is super sketchy. How old was she when she started writing you, Ryan? I think she was 18, which is so out of control. She was like going to senior proms and like writing me on core links in prison. She was 18. Yeah, she was. I swear. Paul introduced me to her. What he did is he was such a good homie. He stood up at an AA meeting and like put my picture up, and he's like, hey, will anyone write my really hot friend in prison? He would say stuff like that in AA meetings. And girls would be like, oh my God, it's so cute you have a friend that you like that much. And two of the girls actually started writing me on core links. Now, one of them, I forget what her name was, but I talked to her for like 6 months. And she's like, I think it's really dope that you want to be a writer because I write stuff too. And I was like, really? What do you write? And she's like, I write erotica. Will you read it? Do you have connections in the publishing world? I was like, how would I have connections in the publishing world? I've been in prison for 3 years, you know? This is like in the middle of my term. Anyway, I was like, I'll read it and give you free notes because I wasn't even a published writer back then. I don't know. She just wanted someone to read her stuff. I swear to God, I don't even mean this in a racist way, but she sent me like this really hardcore gangbang erotica about her getting like gangbanged by black football players. I swear to God, like I put that on everything that's important to me. So I'm reading it. This is some girl that I'm writing and I'm like really into. Because you get into anybody in prison. You could be writing
that was like my baby's mom, but like that actually happened.
Oh, well, I'm sure this did too. Because she's like, I'm exorcising demons right now. And I was like, all right, cool. And she's like, and so it was this story. I swear to God, it was a story about when she was on the cheer squad when she was in high school up in Monterey. And she got all wasted I forget what it was, but it was like, I don't know, homecoming or something like that. She went to this party and everybody, all the girls left except for her. And she took on the entire football team and she was the only white girl there, right? And so I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have an open mind. I was liberal, more liberal then than I am now. You know, I had just voted Obama and I was like, you know what? I bet you know what? I'm not going to be like a racist dude and judge somebody for something like this. It wasn't the black thing. It was that it was like 17 different dudes. But anyway, we're going to get to that in a second. I'm reading it and like at first it's like the name of the story was, the gangbang cake stand or something like that. It was like some crazy weird shit like that. So I'm like the gangbang. And like I'm sitting there and I'm like kind of like whispering out loud as I'm reading. You know how sometimes when you do that, like if you're really into something, and a guy at the computer station next to me, it's a black dude, right? Some black dude with an afro. And he's sitting there and it starts off and she's like, I never considered fucking a black guy. That's like the first sentence, and I'm like, never considered. I'm like whispering this to myself. The guy next to me is just like, he's like, man, what the fuck are you reading, man? And I was like, hey, look, I swear to God, this is true. And I'm like, look, I don't know. It's called gangbang headstand. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Cake stand.
Oh yeah, cake. No. It was gangbang head cake stand. Gangbang. Well, that's really hard to say. Gangbang cake stand. And so I have to explain. It was so awkward, right? Because I had to explain to this dude the whole situation. I'm like, so I'm writing this chick, and like, she writes erotica. He's like, what's erotica? And I was like, it's like porn, but writing. And he's like, whoa, can I read it with you? I swear to God. He's sitting in the other computer station, leaning over. So now I'm reading it out loud to him. So now other people can hear it. So like a couple other people are like walking by, and like people would stop occasionally and they just shake their head and look at me. They'd be like, man, that Leone's a weird ass dude, man. He over at the computer station with that dude, Randy. That's the dude's name with the afro that was next to me. His name was Randy. But anyway, me and Randy were sitting there and we're reading this shit. And she's talking about how she goes to this party. I think it was for homecoming, but I'm not sure. And she was with all of her girlfriends. She lived up in Monterey. So the party that they were at, I think, wasn't even the school. It was like a different school, like maybe Oakland or something. I don't know. But it was like somewhere else in the public school system. She goes to this party and everybody left without her. She was all faded. She was the only girl there. And she's like, I never considered fucking a black guy before. And then I went to a party or homecoming and all my friends left me and I was there alone. And I was fucking horny and drunk. And she's saying shit like this. And Randy's into it. You know, he's probably, you can't check other races' paperwork, but there's a high probability that Randy was a sex offender. Because as I'm reading it, he's like grunting. He's like, he was like doing the Rick Ross noises and shit. I was like, are you into this, Randy? He's like, no, man, you know, I'm just listening. I'm just here to listen. There's other people waiting for the computer. Like, it's really rude for two people to be sitting at the computer station and like one person's not using their computer and other people are in line waiting. So the people in line waiting eventually come and crowd around. Occasionally somebody will walk by and stop as well. So now there's a group of people as I'm reading gang bang cake stand. So she ends up staying at this party and they start doing cake stands, right? These black fools are doing cake stands. And she's describing them like, she's like, they were sagging like they were potato sacks. She's like, that's her descriptions of these guys, right? And she starts doing cake stands too. And she's wearing what the fuck's it called? Like some sort of sweater or whatever. Oh, a fleece. She's wearing a fleece, right? And that's how she described it. I remember this. So as she's doing the cake stand, the fleece goes up and her tits come out. And she's like, oh my God. So now the guys see that this white girl's tits came out when she did the cake stand. So the rest of the night, they're all trying to get her to do cake stands. And she ends up getting way drunker and her tits go out. And then one of them grabs her tit. And she's cool with it. She says it in her erotica. she's like, his hands felt coarse, like they weren't even a person's, but I was drunk, so it was whatever. And then the other, like, I guess one of the other dudes touched her, so there's two different dudes touching her boobs, and it turns into this thing where, like, they see it's okay, so now the whole party just circles around, they start fucking her, and, you know, Randy's like, you know, he's like really like, he'll punctuate sentence with those grunts. He's really into this story. And I'm reading it, and what was really crazy is she started, I swear to God this is true too. Like, I know this sounds like an outlandish story, but she starts describing like how, like, and I never knew this. I've never tasted cum. I mean, I've beat off a couple times and been like, man, I wonder what this tastes like. And I'll bring it right up and I'll be like, I can't, that's life-changing. I can't do it. But so I don't know, I don't have any point of reference, but she explains in the short story how different dudes' cum tastes differently. And Karina just recently told me that my cum tastes like Newport 100. I was like, that's not even possible.
I had an ex-girlfriend that told me my cum tasted like Miller High Life and Suboxone.
Checks out.
Yeah.
She never said Suboxone, but she said that it tastes like cigarettes. Is that possible?
I mean, probably. If you can eat pineapples and your cum tastes like pineapple juice.
I thought it was.
Sure,
I thought it was. Is it pineapple? It is pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it sweet. But she was talking about how different guys had different, you know, like different guys she had been with had different flavors of cum.
Like I used to like go down on this chick. She's a pescatarian, and that shit was like, bro, that shit was like fucking like rotten oyster soup, bro.
Oh, vaginas that stink?
It's terrible.
Yeah,
It's terrible. She was a squirter too. That smell would never go away, dude. I swear it was like on my fingers and my lips for like years.
Dude, this is a family-oriented podcast, dude. What the fuck is this shit? Yeah, thanks, Riggy. Now we won't be monetized. Good job. No, I've been talking about the flavors of cum for like the last. So anyway, she starts talking about how like how every dude she'd ever sucked off had like salty cum, but all these black dudes' cum had like a sweet taste to it. And she's like, I think it was the day that I thought I started liking black guys more than any other guys because their cum tasted better. And I love cum. And she's writing stuff like this, I swear. And now I have a crowd of people that are listening to me as I'm reading this in federal prison. People like Randy was probably like, oh, get off on this.
Yeah.
You know, okay, cool. Anyway, so that was kind of funny when that happened. But I just couldn't, it was weird. I thought I was like in love with her. I'd like have Pisces like make like flowers for her out of toilet paper and stuff and send it to her. And when you're courting a woman when you're in prison, it's different than when you're courting a woman on the street, because in prison, you know, you can't even touch them. So you have to go like the extra mile. Like there's not a guy in prison that doesn't know how to do rhyming poetry or doesn't know how to draw a little hard stuff for them. And girls really like that because it's so much different than men they're used to on the street. The other night I was talking to Karina and I was like, well, this was actually like a couple months ago. And I was like, man, I wish I could be the guy that I was in prison, or the person that I promised to be when I got out. And she's like, me too. You changed like the first day you were out. You weren't that guy anymore. And ever since I said that, I've been like doing like lots of sweet stuff for her, like writing her little notes about how much I love her and like trying to be more conscientious of being, you know, not just considerate, but reminding her how much she means to me. Hey, you're the mother of my children. I appreciate you more than any other person on this planet. I tell her stuff like that all the time. Where's this going? What's the point?
They like all the sentimental shit, man.
They do. You know? And when you're in prison, you get conditioned to it. You've done time. Is this not true? You have to do that when you're locked up. But what's crazy is that these kind of things are applicable to out here. Guys out here, I see friends of mine that date new women, right? Like they just get in a new relationship. and they just aren't as attentive as I think they should be. What do you think about that? Guys out here compared to how guys treat women out in the street.
Oh yeah, facts, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. Like prison, jail's the perfect place to learn how to. That's why like convicts get so much pussy, man. You know, like you just, you know, I mean, on top of being like super manipulative, you know, they just fall for it, dude. Love letters and shit like that, you know.
All right, you want to start this over, dude? Because I'm not trying to have people know that I like pussy, or that you do. What's he gonna say now?
Yeah, I mean, did I answer the question appropriately?
I don't even know what the fuck the point of this video is. The point is that, no, yes, you're right. The point is all jokes aside, well, I picked up a few things in prison that I think are incredibly valuable out here. Loyalty, generosity, being polite. You know, you'll run into some of the most polite people in the world in prison. Doesn't mean they won't slit your throat with like a, roughed up piece of a tin can or something. But people are polite about it. Like, hey, excuse me, and then they'll like just slit your throat after that. But people really are polite, because I've seen more fights happen in prison over people not saying excuse me than probably anything else. Literally, like you'll bump into someone when you're due time and you get out here and you realize how disrespectful most people are in the free world. How many times are you out in public and somebody bumps into you and doesn't say anything?
Every time.
Every time.
We live in LA.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in LA, yeah. And then if you like try to say something like, hey man, you're not gonna say excuse me, you don't want to do that.
And if you walk down the street out here and you say hello or some nice gesture, and they take it as like disrespect almost.
Yeah.
It's wild.
LA is really cold, like a cold place. It's really weird. Prison kind of teaches you to like mind your own business, like when you're walking down a tier, it's almost like you have to practice tunnel vision, because it's very disrespectful to look into somebody else's cell. Like literally, dudes are like getting butt fucked in cells. Dudes are shooting heroin in cells. Now, I never saw anybody get butt fucked, right? I never saw people shooting heroin either, unless I was like in the cell with them and they were butt fucking in front of me. No, if they were shooting heroin in front of me, that's the only time I saw it. And that's not because it wasn't going on. That's because I had been conditioned very early on. I got schooled to kind of just mind my own fucking business. Now you get out here, most people just aren't cut like that, and that's what separates in my opinion, like drug addicts that have been to prison carry themselves differently, or even jail. Jail's the same.
It's like, okay, if a car accident happens out here, right? There's not hella traffic because there's a car accident and that wrecked car is in the way. There's traffic because everybody driving by the car accident is stopping and fucking looking at the accident instead of just going.
I think that's everywhere. That's called rubbernecking. I remember that when I got my license, when I had to go to traffic school, that was like one of the ones that I had to memorize.
Damn.
Rubbernecking is what it's called, huh?
Yeah.
Why'd you say damn?
I don't think I ever took that test.
Well, yeah, it's only like if you get tickets, at least out here, I think it's like this everywhere. You can pay the full thing, or I guess we're close. So I'll just wait so I don't have to smoke in your car. You can pay the full ticket, or you can take traffic school. And if you take traffic school, they knock off like half the money. I think that even sometimes I've gotten stuff and they've required it. I don't know. I've done it a few times, but you can just like Google the answers with another device and like just do it really fast. But I've done it more than once, and the second time I was like, you know what? I keep getting tickets. Maybe I should actually take this seriously. And I actually studied it and passed. But that's what that's called, rubbernecking. Like when you're driving, and that's that phenomenon, like where things just slow down. But in LA, it's so densely populated that rubbernecking literally costs you. It can, like, from where I live right now to Hollywood, it's like 30 miles, right? That should take 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2.5 hours to do that, right? how long does it usually take to get from my place to Hollywood, would you say?
Like with
What
no traffic?
What did we just do? We just did we just got here in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
34 minutes it took.
Yeah.
What's the worst that you've seen that?
I mean,
he grew up in LA.
Early in the morning or between the hours of like 7 and 9 a.m. It's terrible. It's like that would take like an hour and a half at least. And then between like 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
People going to and from work, you know?
Yeah, it's traffic. Traffic is really bad. I Googled it one time because everybody complains about the traffic in LA. The traffic, and yeah, that's it, the traffic. But San Francisco actually has the worst traffic in the country. I Googled it one time. And I was like, it's not that bad. And then I remember I was stuck in traffic there one time. And it was like, I'm not even joking. I was probably going like 20 miles and it took like 4 hours. And I was like, whoa.
And all the one-way streets like in downtown, dude.
And all the dudes that go both ways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Only in one district, the Castro. Everyone thinks San Francisco is really, like a highly populated gay place. It's really not. It's just one area. In fact, San Francisco is one of the most gangster cities I've ever been to. Facts. It's cracking. It's way gnarlier in San Francisco and Oakland than it is up here, for sure. Here, let me get out and smoke. We'll finish this out. Come on. I want to give them a whole hour, and then I want to upload this and the story I did earlier. Oh. So, yeah, San Francisco is pretty out of control. I mean, I don't know, Riggy, have I ever told you a story about when I met a hooker at a methadone clinic when I was getting a courtesy dose, and she took me up to this dude named Pistol Pete, and he fucking, it was pretty bad. I had to go back to my family all beat up. They're like, it didn't even faze them. That's how I knew that I was really a bad person.
I used to, when I got kicked out of the methadone clinic, they wouldn't allow me there anymore.
Which one?
In like near MacArthur Park, the BART on like.
Is it Aegis or?
No, BART, BAA.
Oh, BART. Yeah, so they only have 2 methadone.
Off Beverly, but my homegirl would go in and she'd come back out and spit it into my mouth, dude. The dose.
That's fucking tight.
It was tight. Yeah.
Did you know that in prison I used to buy Tylenol 3s from this dude? He had no teeth. He was missing all of his teeth. And in prison, to make it so that, because they were like, well, people aren't that much of dope fiends. We'll just crush the Tylenol 3s up, put it in a little plastic cup, and they make you like drink it, right? This dude would get the Tylenol 3 in the little plastic cup with water, and he would just hold it in his mouth. This guy has no teeth. He had some teeth, so it would like collect whatever like gingivitis or whatever nasty shit was in there. Sometimes there was like chunks of his teeth. He'd bring it back, right? And I'd save them up because like one of them's not going to get me high. And I'm not joking. I was such a fucking junkie in there. This was at Wasco. I'd lay upside down on a bunk, and I'd be like, hey bro, dose me up. So he'd get a pen and he would stick it in there and start dripping I had like 5 or 6 of these like little plastic cups full of Tylenol 3 saliva, and you know how like you can get a pen and like draw it up and like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
you can like draw it up with
like a straw.
Like a straw.
Yeah.
So he'd like hold one side and the gravity pulls it up, and I'd be upside down. He'd be dripping his saliva. I would feel chunks of this dude's teeth. Here, let's walk. So the neighbors, they always hear me talking about shit like this. They're like, he's telling one of the saliva and Tylenol 3 stories again. They hear me all night. They're probably so happy that I'm leaving.
So stoked you're moving.
This neighborhood is like, this is like legit ghetto LA right here. Like, this is ghetto. This is a ghetto ass spot. I probably shouldn't say shit like that too loud. I've seen some shit go down around here. This is how you kind of can tell that it's a bad area. Like, I don't know. It's not like Compton bad. We'll just go around the block and then we'll be done. And we'll conclude this. But, yeah, so they wouldn't give take-homes at that clinic?
No, I was banned from there.
Why?
Because I got in a fight, like inside the place.
Well, why don't you tell that story? Hold the camera and tell that story.
Oh man, back in my GHB days,
Like every day.
every day. Yeah, I was like, when I take G, I just feel like the strongest. Like you cannot fuck with me, dude. Like, I would take G and walk around Skid Row by myself at like 3 a.m. and loke up on anybody. Surprising.
I've been to bars with him on GHB.
Facts. And for some reason, like, no one ever fucked with me, dude. I'm sure it was just by chance that, like, that no one ever did. But that morning in the methadone clinic, I forgot. I just exchanged words with this old dude. And I thought just because he's old, like, I'd fucking... And he wasn't, like, old. Like, if he was, like, over, like, 60, like, I wouldn't fuck with him. He was probably, like, 50. He just looked old from all the methamphetamine, you know? But I mouthed off to him, and this dude mopped me up, dude. He mopped me up, like, chairs getting pushed around and shit.
You lost the fight?
I lost the fight, dude. I got some good hits in, though. But, like, this dude... He took his shirt off and he looked like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, you know what I mean? But yeah, so, you know, chairs being thrown around. I broke the vending machine and shit. Like, that's how hard he slammed me into the vending machine, you know what I mean? So, you know, that was it. And that didn't stop me from doing GHB either. Like, but so every morning I'd just go back to the clinic and hang out front. And homegirl, her name was Sophie. She'd go in, because she was doing so much black, like, she didn't need the methadone. She'd go in, spit the methadone in my mouth. I'd take her back to my hotel room, pipe her down, you know what I mean? It was lit. Yeah, man, I don't know whatever happened to her,
Methadone didn't make you asexual?
What is that?
Asexual means you have no sex drive.
I mean...
That's
yeah,
what it does
like,
to me.
I never was on that. Like, the highest milligram I was ever on was like 90. So it was like medium, you know what I mean?
So I think I've talked about this before. When I got on methadone, I was on 180. So it was twice what you're doing. I got obese. I'm like 5'6", and I weigh like 180 right now. I'm in pretty good shape. I've been working out, but I weighed 230 with no muscle. It was just fat, right? And I had my Fear and Loathing tattoo. So I look like, and I would wear like sleeveless shirts. I really thought that I looked sexy like that. And people would run into me like in public places, and I'd hear people be like, damn, is that Ryan? And then the other person would be like, hell no, that dude's fucking, guy's like 60 pounds heavier than Ryan. I'd hear people like talk about how I look like a fat version of Ryan. People didn't even know that it was me. But anyway, I stopped having sex. And I didn't beat off, even. I didn't come for 3 years on methadone. Wow. And, yeah. And, like, Jenny would bring girls over and, like, want to have threesomes. And because we did that, you know, before I was doing methadone, we used to have threesomes all the time. When I was on methadone, I just had no sex drive. I couldn't even get it up. But I didn't even want to, even if I could. But then one night I relapsed on crack. And I got horny, and we had all these like, Jenny wanted to have sex so bad that she would buy me porn magazines all the time back then. And she'd just like leave them around, and she'd be like, oh, look at this lesbian spread. And I'd be like, yeah, this is boring. It's good, you know, let's play Guitar Hero or something. That was my life back then. And so this night that I smoked crack, I remember I lasted maybe like 40 seconds. When I came, I seriously was like a dove it was like a beautiful like life moment. Felt like a dove just like spewed out of the head of my dick and was like celebrating life. And I had a group of people over at my place. And I'm not joking. When I came,
oh, shit.
I was like I'm pretty vocal with sex, right? Like, I'm one of those guys where I'm like, I'm not embarrassed, so I'm like, And Karina's like, dude, chill out. You know, like, I always sound like I'm doing like Olympic triathlons or something, but I'm not a sweater, but I'm a vocal guy. And when I come, it's ridiculous because I think it's just because I'm like a drama queen. Like I just like exaggerate. I'm like, ah! Like bite a chunk of her hair out. But but that night that I came after 3 years when the dove came out, I was like, ah! I like screamed, right? And I had a group of people over at my house. And you know how I put it in like a wad of tissue paper, and I came, I was like, babe, I came. I was like all triumphant, and she like ran up to me and hugged me like I accomplished something big or something. And I remember these people that were over like looked at us like we were probably like, I think they thought, honestly, because we were all smoking crack, I think they thought we were swinging, and that like we thought it was going to turn into some like group, like just straight sex riot was about to crack off or something. But that didn't happen. But I did come, and then the next day she like tried to go down on me, and like I was back to methadone asexuality, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? I have boundaries. And she's like, you're such a bitch. And then she even tried to get me crack a couple times. I was like, I'm not in the mood. I don't even want to do this. It could lead to sex. You know, I was a piece of shit on methadone. It's completely worthless. But anyway, back to the point of this video. And just, you know, I mean, literally, I haven't had a free second today. I don't even post like I normally would on social media. I'm that busy right now, just on the phone. I mean, the doc's done September 16th, and that's it. And I don't have any say in it. Seth's not even letting me see it until it's finished. He's like, I don't want you to look at it. He's like, because I know you're a perfectionist. You're going to try to micromanage everything. He's like, it is what it is. We're going to be done on this date. So to try to get it up to the best of what I think it can be, what I think the potential can be, I have a lot of stuff I got to do. You know, I got to film one more master interview. I'm going to do the reenactments with Draven Bennington. And then I got to get a couple more interviews. I got to do my master interview. Lucas is filming that. He's going to be the director of photography, but Seth is the actual director now. But Lucas is like, we're still on good terms, and he's going to come film it because he's got a great eye for stuff like that. And then September 16th, come rain or shine, it's going to be finished. Like for real. Like with Seth, it's different than anyone else. Like his word, did 21 years in prison. His word means everything to him. He's like, this is it. September 16th. So on top of moving, I've been on the phone trying to get different people who are in the film. I need to get like all the rights. I need to get waivers signed, etc., etc. Oh yeah, there's a cop. Wait, a cop just mad done it. I kind of hope he comes and fucks with us. Be cool for the end of the video. Let's do here. There's 13 minutes left in this video. Want to do one more lap and call it a night? Yes, you do. Thank you. See, that's why I fucks with Riggy, because he's a good dude like that. This is the only free moment I've had, except earlier I got one story in. It's like, Jesus Christ. And it's like right now more than ever, after the couple shitty months I've had, I really got a rebound. But so I'm going to do this new series called Pittsburgh. It's going to be on the $10 tier. But since I have Todd working for me, he is starting to drop like $20 tier videos down to 10. We're going to start dropping 10 down to 3. You know, this whole time I've been saying I'm going to do that, but with Todd, it actually gets done. I'm so ADD. Like I got a call from my uncle. Riggy can vouch for this, right? I got a call for my birthday from my uncle. He's like, hi, Ryan. It's your uncle. He's the one that caught that homeless dude that was in the wheelchair beating off on his floor. I don't think you've heard that story, but yeah, that uncle. He called me. He's like, hey, Ryan, I know you're going through a lot with your mom, but buddy, you got to make more of an effort to call me. It's been 3 years. It's not been 3 years. I talked to him like a few months ago, but he said that.
Well, it's been 3 years since we came?
Since we talked.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, you know, you don't call me on my birthday. He's like, my birthday came and went. I sat by the phone expecting you to call, and you didn't call. I think you're using, and I think you're also on steroids. And I was like, looked at him, I was like, spot on, this guy. This guy knows exactly what's going on. But he was like telling me like what a scumbag I was for not keeping in contact with him. I get text messages every single day from people, and it's not like I'm a bad dude or I'm too cool to respond. It's my ADD is that bad. Even my closest friends will text me, and I just don't get back to people. And like, so having Todd as an assistant to do stuff, you know, whether it's all the things that I'm supposed to be getting done, he's actually doing. And it's a lot of stuff. I mean, he's got a huge workload, but it allows me to focus on actually creating content. So this last video, or the series that I'm going to do, it's called Pittsburgh. And it's about after I had met Casey, the girl I was engaged to. I was with her a couple years. We were about to get married, and her dad was dying of hepatitis C. We had to go to Pittsburgh for about 10 days, and it was an absolute wild. It would make an entire series, and I like the geographical series. And I know, you know, she's like, for a long time, she didn't want our stories out there, but she's cool with it now. You know, we have a lot of mutual friends, and she's a good person. You know, we were just, I think our problem was that we were too good of friends. And, you know, it felt like I was butt fucking a homeboy, and we'd high five after. I'd be like, sex was fucking amazing, Riggy. And he gives me a high five back. So Pittsburgh will be the new series. I'm going to finish Origins. I'm going to finish Henry. The psychedelic stuff, Naked Girl, China, juvenile delinquency, old storylines that I just left unfinished. What Todd's doing while he trickles down these for lower tiers is he's making me like a list of things that I've left uncompleted. And I've been wanting to do the news for a long time, like a 10-minute news segment every morning where you get the news from me. I don't even watch the news, but I feel like a lot of people do. And if you're going to get the news from somewhere, if you fuck with me anyway, I think we could make it fun, you know, do the weather, etc. So that's what I'm doing, the Pittsburgh. And the point of this video is to try to like explain what that series is going to be. I think that one video series that I probably didn't do justice to was my sober years, right? You know, because it's not as grimy as my drug tales or my prison stories. We're also going to finish Shaky Jake. Shaky Jake, I've always envisioned being a 60 or 70 part series and going through my entire prison shit, except for my second term, because I did that one in its entirety. But my first and third, I left out so much stuff. You know, in the last couple years, I've learned how to frame storylines better. You know, I've learned how to like set up back characters, back stories, and like interweave them. So there's more I can do with old material without it being too repetitive. You know, of course, there's always going to be overlap because there's certain like bullet points that are important because you have to like be reminded like, oh, this is when this happened. But when I do that and I get going, it literally just kind of like gets me, you know, in gear, and I'm able to remember stuff and go into like different directions that I didn't the first time around. What about at some point soon, probably in October, November, December, somewhere in there, I'm going to do Fear and Loathing in the Midwest. And I told Riggy that whole storyline over the course of like 3 or 4 hours. Tell him about that.
Fucking amazing. Probably my favorite story of his.
Really?
Yeah, dude, me and Lush were fucking dying, bro.
Oh yeah, Lush was there too.
God damn.
Yeah, Lush is the homie. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's a hip-hop battle rap legend here in LA. He hosts all the battle raps. So he's way respected in the LA hip-hop community. Really, all over the world, people know who he is. And he's a good guy. He's one
Lush One, King of the Dot. YouTube that shit.
Lush One, King of the Dot. Yeah, I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of Riggy's, fan of Mickey Avalon's. Mickey's going to be back here in October, and if we can get the book edited and ready for publication for October, he's touring in October, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to go open for his shows. Nobody in like a rowdy bar or nightclub is going to want to hear me read from a fucking book. I'll go up there and do like a 5-minute mono. And we've been talking, you know, I think that that's the best way to promote it. But I'll tell you, that book is going to be out of control. Have you read any of that? The Mickey book?
Nah.
I'll send you some. I'll send you everything I got. I got over 200 pages of that book done. I've been putting a lot of work into that, especially the last couple weeks, because when Wyland's born in August 20th now, this is just going to be a really insane month. I'm just so happy. What do you think of my new house?
It's fire, dude. Other than like the old murder scene.
Yeah.
Bloodstain.
We think that it was...
But you can just lay some newspaper over it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Light some incense.
Yeah. Sage it.
Yeah. Is this the cop? No, that cop is checking us out. But, anyway, I guess it's good when you're not doing anything wrong. It's kind of cool to interact with cops because they can't do anything to you. I don't know, knowing my luck, they almost got arrested for smoking a cigarette. Did you see that?
Yeah, bro.
That's insane. Yeah, Santa Barbara, they really fuck with me. I really can't be there. So that's kind of like the plans for the future. Pittsburgh, finish up the old storylines. I know, you know, when I'm doing bad, I like have all these huge plans and then don't follow through with them. But second kid coming, preparing mentally to lose my mom, I'm more motivated than ever. And I need to, like, I'm more than capable of doing it. The last 4 days have been so insane with moving that, you know, it's just been really, really hard to even get a second. And then even when I do get a second, I'm so tired. Last night I was falling asleep at the wheel. I almost crashed like a bunch of times just falling asleep. It's like, you're on heroin. And then I got home and took a sub in front of her, and then she was happy. But I appreciate you, Riggy. Thank you for being on.
Yes, sir, Ski.
I already did a story video, and I don't know, I'll probably upload this first. You know, I just got back to my old house. This is the last night that we're at our old place, and here, I'll show you what it looks like. No, later, when I'm leaving, I'll show you guys the front. But I love you. I appreciate you.
Much love.
I'll leave all Riggy's information in the pinned comments.
Subscribe, Riggy Marz official. Add me on Instagram. Follow me on Spotify.
Do you have your YouTube verified?
Yes.
You got a check?
Yes.
I'm like the only person I know without the check. Fuck the check. Fuck the check. Huh? Fuck the check. All right, guys. Palabra.